Well, hey everybody, welcome to the channel, welcome to my stream and another chapter on the tank that almost won't end. The M2A3 Bradley. We're gonna run the intro and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on this. We kind of finished our build last time. We finished the assembly of everything actually. And as I promised, next time you guys saw this tank it would be brown. And it is brown. So this is the Mr. Mahogany Surfacer 1000. It's just primer. Okay, and it's brown. Why I chose brown? Why? Because it's an earthy tone and it's going to look better underneath. It's going to be easier to cover it with things like the green and the NATO green and the NATO brown. Right? The NATO brown is pretty close. It's got a little bit more red to it, but yeah, it's going to match good. That's the three colors we're using: NATO green, NATO brown, NATO black. And that's what we're doing, guys. We're not doing that tan color. We're not doing this one here. Okay, we're not doing that. We're doing camouflage. So, I have to do a base. Looking at the pictures online, these things seem to be mostly green with some black and really only a little brown. So would it have been better to primer this in a dark green? Maybe. That might have been better. But they don't have green primer, so we're primer it in brown. And that's what we're doing. I do have my other camera set up, so you'll be able to watch as I paint this thing. This is basically going to be, I'm going to be cutting this. You're going to see me do the green. I'm going to cut that off because it only takes doesn't take that long to do the green. So I'm not going to do a full hour long of you just watching me paint green paint, okay? I want to condense this down into one video where you're going to see me do the green, you're going to see me mask, you're going to do the brown, then mask, and then the black. And then, yeah, we'll go on after that, okay? So that's my plan. We're going to see how that works, okay? So, I have my NATO green, which is, to me, is XF67. I believe these are like, the brown is XF68, and then the black is XF69. So they're meant to go together, right? That's how they go, yeah. Anyway, I have this thinned already, nicely thinned out, so it's ready to go. I'm going to move this guy over here. I'm going to take the top off. As you can see, I had to primer, and sue me, I didn't do the bottom. Nobody looks at the very underneath of the tank anyway, so poop on you. Did all the primer on the inside here though, in behind the wheels. Speaking of wheels, I better grab those wheels because they got to be painted green too. That's one thing I did notice is they tend to not really camouflage the wheels on these things, and I've noticed my suspension is kind of seized up a little bit due to the paint sticking it together. So I'm just going to make sure these all function still. Those do. This guy seems to be not cooperating. What's wrong with you? There we go. You just needed a little coercing. It's funny, you can see. Let me change the camera. I'll change the camera here. You can see this. It's funny. So it looks good like that, right? Until you extend your suspension, and you can see the light tan color underneath. But the tank's going to sit down anyway, so it's going to sit like that, and you're not going to see it. But it's funny. It exposes the original color as you extend the wheel down. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that. I don't know. I just got a kick out of that. It's the way it is. A little bit of masking so I don't accidentally paint my green. And yeah. So let's get some green into the brush. We'll move this guy over. And yeah. Nothing much else to say. Here's our turret. Turret is done. He's all brown. Still green on the inside though. Yep. But he's all brown. All brown. Yeah. Okay. That's about it. Really. Not much. Again, not really much else to say about it. It is what it is. Okay, so green in the brush. Let's get some green here. I did already give this a good shake before starting the video, so just a little bit extra to do it. I've got about a full bottle here, roughly. And pouring it into the cup, it looks a little bit thick still, so I might have to add a little more thinner. We'll see how it sprays. I don't really anticipate too many problems with it because yeah. Let's just do a little test spray here and we'll see how she looks. Oh, she sprays beautifully. Yes, no problem. Let me change the camera. Let's make sure this is working. Looks like it's gonna be okay. That's the wrong camera, dude. Like, come on. There we go. Okay. So here we are. Let's move my coffee out of the way. I don't need to paint my coffee. This is not NATO brown, okay? That's not NATO brown. We're doing NATO green. Okay. So let's start with some small stuff. This is supposed to be like olive drab color. They just want that painted different, but I'm gonna just do with the NATO green. Okay. And there we go. Okay. Green. Yeah. Everything green. Our rear thing that goes on the back of the turret. This one is a little bit of a challenge to paint, but we're gonna get in there anyway. That's it. Our tank is green. Okay? Bingo, she's green. Yeah, everything's green now. So, what does that mean? Well, it means it's all green. And it's not easy being green. We all know that. But we gotta let this dry. I gotta clean up my airbrush. We're gonna come back after this is all dried and cured and all that fun stuff, and we're gonna get to doing some masking, and then we're gonna hit it with some brown. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. All right.
Day 2.
Okay guys, we're back, and well, we're going to continue on. The green has had sufficient time to dry. She's all nice and dry. Yay, dry. Yeah, the green is dry. So we're going to get to masking. As you can see here on my desk, I've been, in the meantime, while I was waiting for that, I stuck little toothpicks into all of my little wheels so that I can paint those quite easily. I'm just going to transfer them over to a little block here and go doink, doink. Let's start from this edge because that's going to be easier, right? Got lots of little wheels. I'm going to paint these wheels off camera. I'm not going to, I mean, you guys just saw me paint the thing, paint the main hull, so painting the wheels is not any different except that I'm holding onto a toothpick and I'm spinning the wheel around while I paint it. Yay. The wheels are all going to be green. From every picture I've seen online of these, in the camouflage, that uses the green, the brown, and the black camouflage, every picture I've seen, the wheels are all green. Every single one. They don't bother mixing up the colors on the wheels. So that's probably logistics reasons and stuff like that. So I'm just going to put these aside because we're not doing green today. Well, at least not right now anyway. And like I said, I'm going to do these off camera anyway, so shut up. Stop bugging me about it. Okay. So, to mask this thing, we're going to be using some of this. This is AK Interactive's Camouflage Elastic Putty for airbrush. That's what this stuff is. I've used this, you guys have seen me use this on every other tank build that I've done where I've done camouflage. And I think I also used this, you know, I can't remember now. I'd have to look back at my own videos and see. On the A10 Thunderbolt, the camouflage pattern I did on that, I think I used this stuff. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, what is this stuff? It's a putty. And it comes in this container, and in this container it's in a bag. And it's a little hard to get out of there. I've had this stuff for a couple of years now, and it's great for camouflage work. It's really good stuff. When you first buy it, I did find that when I first got it, it kind of left a little bit of an oily residue on the kit. But not much, not really, not enough that it made it, you know, bad or anything like that. It was all good. It's all good. So you keep it in the bag, and it'll be fine. And I find this stuff really has a funny property to it, where if you pull it slowly, it stretches like crazy. But if you pull it quick, it snaps off. And that way you can just snap one off as much as you like. Okay? If you leave this in a big blob like this, it will kind of flatten out on you and spread out. So you don't want to put this on really thick and big thick things like this. Now that's the thing with this, is you can do this and you can rub it around, squish it down, and you can get all kinds of patterns. So if you don't like that, you can take something like the edge of your thing and just make your edges a little not quite so perfectly formed and make them random, and you can do things like this, and yeah, it works really great. And then you just pull it all up like that, and then you start over again. Let's grab our hull. Now I'm gonna change the camera so you can watch me put this stuff on. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be looking at pictures of this so I can get a rough idea. I'm not going for super accuracy in my camouflage pattern. I'm just going with something that's similar, like, you know, you're gonna look at it and you go, oh yeah, he's followed that pattern. It's like this and that and that, and that's like, it's brown on this corner, and so this, the real one's brown on this corner, and stuff like that, right? But for the actual pattern, I'm not trying to mimic something exactly, right? So, but I will be staring at reference photos while I do this. So just so you know, change to my other camera here, and here we are. And I'm just going to open up a reference photo here. There we go. Okay, not that you guys are going to see, but well, maybe you will. I don't think. No, it's going to stick on my stock photo here. Let's see. I don't want to show you guys. I don't want to have the photos on the camera because, well, there might be some kind of copyright crap that I'm not supposed to show it without permission, and I don't even know. Okay, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna take this. Because we're masking, we're going to be combining some things flow from the upper hull down onto the lower hull, so I need to kind of put our pieces together here. I have to open my door so I can get my tape out. So I can go bing. Okay, so let's put our two together. I did have one belt come off, and yeah, while I was spray painting yesterday. It's not really a big deal. So there's our kind of assembled hull, like so. Now I would like, if I could, I'd like to tape it, but I don't think I'm going to need to. So one thing that I see on every single one is it kind of has a brown corner here. And so I'm going to mask this corner off. And you'll see how we do that. Okay, so we take this guy and we're going to turn him into a bit of a string. Take this over on its side, and we kind of go, let's pull this like that. I'm going to kind of go up like this and down right away almost, and then back up almost straight like that. I'm going to come up over here, over our edge. In some spots I want to tuck it in a little bit. I'll have to do better on my tucking, but we'll take care of the tucking later. And then we're going to go around. I want to see the front side of this tank now. Let's see how we go. Show me a front edge. There we go. Once we get up here, we actually come up like this. I don't have any photos of the actual top, so up here we are guessing. We're totally guessing. I know it comes up over this, over our hatch. So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to run this along here like that. We're going to tuck under this guy, because this guy is going to be brown. There we go. And I'm just going to do this. we're going to assume comes up and right into there. Now the nice thing is when we've got contact like this on our from our upper to our lower, it'll kind of act like tape holding it together for me, so that when I pick this up, it kind of will want to stay together. That will help a lot. So there's one. I've got some pretty good stuff going on. This looks a little too square for me. I'm going to change my glasses because as I try and look at the detail, everything becomes blurry on me. This is basically par for the course for the next little while. This is what I'm going to be doing. For little areas I want to kind of round out, get a little detail, we can come in and fix this up. And refine our shape. So we want round corners, right? We don't want jagged edges, because that's not what we're going for here. Now in this little area where I've got the gap, that's where I want it to tuck in a little bit to reduce overspray. Yeah, there's not a lot up here that's brown. There's a little bit on this, our little door here, like kind of like a patch almost of brown. Okay. Anyway, I think you guys got the gist of it. Okay. I think you guys got the gist of what I'm doing here. I'm going to continue doing this, and we'll come back a little bit later when I'm actually ready to paint the brown, because this is just time consuming and it takes a long time. So we'll see you a little bit later, okay?
Later.
Okay, we're back. And welcome back. I spent some time finishing off with our putty, in particular on the turret. So we'll go back here, and I did some actual masking with real masking tape, because yes, you do need it. Don't you guys tell me that I said you didn't need masking tape if you're using this putty stuff. So yeah, shut up. You have to use masking tape anyway, because if you don't, you're gonna get overspray. You're gonna get mad at me. I don't want to hear it, Karen. Okay, sorry. So we got this masked up. Okay, we got that guy done. We have our main hull all masked up. We're ready to hit it with some brown. We're gonna go to Brown Town. So NATO brown again to me is XF. What is this? XF68. Already mixed up, thinned out, ready to go. So let me put some in the airbrush. I have my camera set up once again so that you guys can watch me. Don't need a whole lot because, well, there's really not a whole lot of brown on this. Not nearly as much as the green. The green and black seems to be a good 50-50 mix as to how much is on each. But yeah, the brown, not so much. Okay, let's test this out. And go bing. Okay, she's spraying pretty good. So let's change this. I'm gonna try. You know what? I noticed when I was painting my green, I couldn't see very well. I'm gonna try using my glasses, my other glasses. Let's see here. Okay, let's go painting cam. Here we are. Yes. Okay. Let's start with our little bits here. A little cover that's gonna go on there. So let's get him done. That. There we are with the brown. The brown is done. So I'm going to spend a few minutes cleaning up my airbrush here, and so I'll skip ahead and while I do this. Okay, we'll come back in a bit. Okay, so with the airbrush clean, we can start the unmasking process of this. So change the camera and you can see how this is going to look. So the first thing we're going to do is just get rid of all of our masking tape. Get rid of all of our little bits of masking tape on this guy, okay? Okay, one last big piece of masking tape on the back here to reveal my little hole. Okay. Yes, I'm revealing my hole. Showing you guys my hole. Did you enjoy seeing my hole? Did you enjoy my hole? I hope you guys enjoyed my hole. There's nothing I like better than somebody enjoying my hole. You sick fuck. Okay, so the putty, it just pulls off. You might find that in some areas where you're going in between cracks, that it may really stick in there, but because the putty sticks to itself very well, you can use it to pull itself up out of areas that it's being stubborn and doesn't want to let go, like this right here. Doesn't really want to pull up because it's gone into the crack, but that's okay. A little bit of work and it'll come out. Okay, you watch this as I work with other areas of it. And this is what I meant by that grill. How it wants to stay in all the little holes of the grill, and in fact pull my paint off of the grill as I try to pull it up. But we got it. There we go. See? A little bit stubborn. I got a little bit there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to dab it down onto it, and it just pulls itself right out nicely. Flat areas, of course, no problem at all. It's in areas like this where it's gone in. Those can be tricky, but like I said, you just use it to its, I don't know, use it to fight itself. Fight fire with fire. There we go. Just like that. Now you might wonder, what about all the overspray paint on this? You know, you're gonna have this all brown, and now can you reuse this? You see that? We've got lots of overspray. Well, watch this. I'm gonna show you this. We're gonna take this and we're gonna knead this guy. I'm gonna fold and stretch, fold, squish, stretch, and somehow, some way, don't ask me how they do this, what happens to it, I do not know, but that brown overspray paint is gone. It's gone. And this is totally reusable. Totally reusable. 100% reusable. Over and over and over again. And that's why this stuff is such a good product. And that's why I recommend this stuff for doing this kind of work. There we go. Does our door still open? Yes, it does. Yay. Okay. So that's it for the hull. Okay. All right. So I'm going to continue with the turret and take the masking off of that. Okay. See how well this stuff it goes? It actually stuck the paint with it. So I'm going to work on the turret, and I'll be back in a little while. Okay. I'm going to take the tape off the turret, and then I'm going to mask again, and I'll be using more of my goo here, and we'll get ready for the black color. We'll come back when I've got that all ready, and I'm ready to paint some black. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll see you guys in a little while. All right.
Eventually.
Okay, so guys, we are back, and yeah, we're back. So I got to get to doing more masking. So it's been a while. The paint has had time to dry, okay? And so we're basically just going to continue on. Off camera, I did a little bit of touch up in a few spots that I just didn't quite get any of the NATO green in on areas, and I just wanted to touch those up. Just a few little areas like along the edge here and stuff like that. I wanted to get those done. But the next step is masking again in order to put our NATO black, the XF69. So I'm going to be using more of this putty stuff. You guys already saw me do it. So I'm going to get to doing the masking on this, and yeah, then we'll come back when it's all ready for some paint on it, okay? So that's what we'll do.
Day 3.
Okay, we're back. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of black goop all over my model. And we are in preparation for the NATO Black, the XF69. Yeah, XF69. So, okay, so got the camera going. I'm going to do the turret first because just the way that the goo is holding, the only thing holding the back part of this on is my goo, my putty. And so I want to do this first before the putty just slowly lets it go, and I don't want it to let go. So something else I want to do is just kind of tuck this under here a little bit. I don't want my turret to be fully black. I'm actually going to add a little more here real quick before I do this. You guys already saw me do this a whole bunch last time. Get your putty, knead it, get it in there, and I just want to do in here a little bit like this and kind of cover that a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let's put this back over here. Okay. Sometimes I tighten these so tight, you know, it's ridiculous. Way over tight. It's kind of funny, you know, after, you know, masking this thing off for the black, I realize there's really a lot more black than there is green. But, well, it is what it is. Okay, let's get going here. Let's change our camera. Alright, so here we are. We're going to do the turret first. The turret first. Turret first? Yeah, whatever. Okay. So, let's start on this. Done. Okay. So, I'll spend a few minutes cleaning up my airbrush and then we'll come back. Okay, so we are done cleaning up the airbrush, and that's going to mean we can start removing some of this stuff, and you can see what it looks like. So let's change the camera here and we'll start removing this. So for the most part, this stuff comes off fairly easy. There's going to be tricky parts. The more complicated your surface is, the more this stuff will stick in the nooks and crannies and can be a bit of a pain. But if you get this, if this stuff starts to stick and you can't really dig it out, what you can do is just grab another piece of it and kind of dab it in there and it will come out. This stuff loves to stick to itself more than anything else. But that being said, it will stick in little nooks and crannies and can give you a bit of a headache. Like for example, this thing here, I've wrapped it around, and in between our holes it's stuck to itself. So now it's creating little strings, but we can convince it to let go. Maybe from the other side, just kind of push this back through, and maybe grab it from this side. Let's try this. Doink. Over our antenna here is going to be a little tricky because, well, it's an antenna. My piece wants to fall off, but it's still kind of hung on. Now it's hanging. There we go. We'll just leave that for a sec while I get this other piece off. Let's start from under here. And there we go. So there's kind of what our turret looks like. I kind of pulled my cover out of its little notch, but there we go. So there's our cover, or there's our turret. Okay. Not a lot of black on it, but I didn't want a lot of black. I want mostly green. I don't want a tank super dark in this thing, right? So there we go. Okay, there's that. Now let's free this from the blob. There we go. So now I can actually glue this together, but we're not going to do that today. We'll do that later on. We'll do that next time. The gluing of this whole assembly will be done next episode. But so today is just painting, and that's it. So there's our turret. Okay. Let's spend the next little while taking the stuff off of this. Okay, that kind of sucks, but okay. So we have this big blob, and this big blob can be reused again, but what we're going to do is just put it inside. We're just going to put this away for now, but because this can be reused. Okay, all you got to do is stretch it all out and everything like that. I do recommend you seal up the bag when you're all done, just to keep air and moisture away from it. I really don't know if this would like harden up if you just let it sit out. Harden up. So I'm just going to flatten it out in the bag there. And yeah. So there we go. So there we go. Obviously my goo stuck to my little my grill on my air compressor on the one side, so I am going to have to re-glue that, but other than that, that's it. Now a nice good clear coat is going to seal it all in together and make it all look nice and pretty, and that's kind of what we're looking at now, guys. Okay, switch the camera. You want to see a little bit better? There you go. That's kind of what we're looking at. Okay. Kind of like that. Of course, I don't have it I don't have the turret locked in there, but yeah, that's what we got going on. And she wants to fall apart on me, but that's okay. Yeah. Looking pretty good. Alright guys, so that concludes the painting. Yes, a bit of a process. It's actually taken me a good two and a half days to do this all, but the outcome is fantastic. It looks great. Yes, I do have a little bit of touch up to do. I might have to do a little bit of brush painting and just to touch up a few spots on the black area. Obviously I got to put the green onto that little roof there that I have right here that hasn't been painted yet. And I just realized I have my rocket launcher that I forgot to paint, so I got to paint this. Yes, so that's where we're going to leave it for now. We're going to leave that for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check the description box below and click the links in there and check those out too. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you all in the next one.